Hello and welcome to another Music Talks interview. I'll be your host, Carl Martin. And before we begin, let me ask you a little question. What do you get when you have years of love for Rory Gallagher, an extensive knowledge of music, and enough guitar skill that would make people question whether you'd sold your soul for such skills? Well, is that enough time to answer? I'm going to tell you it anyway. It's who we have right here, Jamie Clague. Say hello, Jamie.
My ego's about that big now. But, yeah.
How are you doing, Jamie?
I'm alright, thanks. How are yourself?
Oh, I'm pretty good, yeah.
Oh, good.
So we're going to be talking today about your music, your love for music, and possibly
music. I hate this stuff, to be honest with you.
Who does love it?
Nah, silly, isn't it?
We're going to be talking about your career, and I know that you've got a big opinion about things in the music industry. So we're going to be talking about a few topics there. First of all, we'll begin, as you do, at the beginning.
Oh, that's where it would be.
It would be,
yeah.
It normally is.
Yeah. The end's normally at the end as well.
Now, with your career in music and your life in music, how did it all begin? Where did your love for music originate from?
Well, first of all, I started off hating it, really. It was just sort of, in my primary school years, I used to hate it. I won this competition once when we used to have to make these musical instruments, and I won it. And I won this pencil case, and I wasn't interested in the music at all. But then just, when I went to secondary school, I started with, well really it was sort of, we had keyboards around and we were playing on them most of the time, and it just sort of developed from that. And I used to be a keyboard player before a guitarist. I can't play now, so, you know, don't get me to. But before like guitar and that, I mean, I was in keyboard and I was trying to form a band because my mate was down the road and he used to play guitar. And then my sister started playing it, so I think I got a bit jealous, and I think somewhere along the line I said, I want to go with this. Because my dad had tried to teach me for years, but I wasn't interested. And then what it was I ended up picking it up and just practicing in the mornings, and then not going to bed at night, getting in trouble, getting kicked out of school, and now no, it just developed from that. And you know, a big thing was going to jam nights, and that's one thing that rings true a lot in the industry, and it's just. You know, I went to these jam nights and got the confidence of playing, and you know, you pick up things from everyone every week, so you get better and better, and you're forced to get better, so it makes you get better.
So is that where you'd say you first entered into like the scene of playing for an audience?
God, yeah, that's definitely, it's, I mean, there's one guy, I mean, strangely his name is Guy, and but he was a massive influence on me on that side of things, and as my bands, because it was done really sort of haphazardly. We had very basic sort of things. We had the drums, we had the PA and that, but it wasn't all professionally mic'd up and that. It was just a couple of amps and playing with your mates, really, you know. And it was great when it was going. It really was, and I wish it was still going. Unfortunately, it's finished up now, which has happened with quite a few. But you know, it's one of those things I hold quite dear to me. I mean, there's that, and then. You know, as you said, Rory Gallagher came along, and then everyone went ski with after that.
Now, you mentioned Rory Gallagher. Would you say that he's your biggest influence?
He's definitely I probably would say that he was the biggest. But I've also got other influences such as Les Paul and Brian May, and a couple of guys on acoustics as well, like Django Reinhardt and Blind Boy Fuller, and there's a few guys and. Yeah. But it's sort of, the list goes on. You can go on forever. I mean, there's Gary Moore and all sorts as well.
Now, but yeah, going back to the beginning again, do you think that influences like all the ones you just said then, do you think that they helped start your career in music?
Well, really, it was sort of through Rory I discovered the real blues. Rory was blues, but I mean the blues itself, because a lot of people don't look back. You look at Led Zeppelin. Then perhaps they'll look at one or two songs back, but it really gets you heavily into it. But like I was just speaking to a mate before, and I remembered that the actual way I got into sort of the older kind of music was through the film. Ray, with Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles.
Yeah,
and it was just you get trapped in that old world, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's very sad at the same time, but you just feel part of it, and it got you into the music, and then it goes all back to ragtime and. And then eventually I got into classical and spiraled. From there, I normally just say the 70s backwards. One of the influences mostly. Because you know, anything we all pick it up. I mean, even the new guys as well. There's a lot of independent guys coming around.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to see this band the other week called Vintage Trouble. They come all the way from America, but they're not signed or anything. They're just they've come over and done it off their own back, and they're fantastic. You know, they've got a real sort of rhythm and blues soul type thing about them. And you know, and then there's guys coming up like, you know, like Andreas Ferrardi, who's a jazz guitarist, and he's I think he must be about 13, 14. It's his sound that I like as well, and the way he enjoys it. It's not so much, you see all these like child prodigies on YouTube and that, but you know, it comes about and it's just sort of, it's really nice to see.
So where would you say you're at right now in your career? What sort of stuff are you doing these days?
Well, to be honest with you, it's sort of the start of it really. I mean, I've spent many years sort of trying to get a band together, but unfortunately, you know, I haven't been able to find, it's quite hard finding the right people these days without travelling 200 miles odd. But you know, the people are there, it's just getting the motivation to, you know, get going, and it's more so trying to get in bands. I mean, I've only recently started joining bands again, and it's great for me.
Yeah.
It's just starting and then getting into the session work, hopefully, if I can, and you know, playing on my own, doing my own solo stuff. Like you know, I've got a couple of things doing acoustic wise. But I mean, I hope to get a band together as well, doing a couple of rhythm and blues tracks. But I'm happy where I am. Just want to keep on going.
Cool. Well, now, because I know that you do have a very strong opinion about the music industry.
Yes, I do.
I'm well aware of that. So we'll go on to that now. We'll talk about a few issues that's going on in the music industry right now, and we'll get your opinion on that. The first topic I'm going to touch on is about selling your music in the music industry. How do you feel about the way that it happens now? And then we'll go on to about how you think it should be.
Well, it's the old method of the record company coming along and saying, "Oh, we'll make you sell so many," and that's the old way. But these days, you've got downloads, you've got the internet. It's brilliant and chaotic at the same time. At the start, it's destroyed everyone's thing, and they've had to wipe the slate clean. But the thing that's great about it is you got the independent guys now who can sell their music. So all these people who the record companies didn't want before can now come and put their music online, and you can listen to them. I mean, it's like, you know, the guys. I mean, another big influence on me in the industry wise is Steve Lawson. He's independent music brilliant. I mean, who would have thought a solo bassist would get so far on you know, sites like Twitter and such.
So, if you could change anything, what would you do?
Well, at the moment, it's sort of going in favour of independent music. However, the record companies aren't stupid, so they're going after the live side now. So I'm hoping that they don't sort of get into the live side and we have a situation where most venues are owned by record companies and you can only play if you're signed or something like that. Because the problem is a lot of pubs are shutting down now, but because record companies still have their billions and zillions, you know, they can buy things. It's not bad for us. I mean, don't get me wrong, record companies can help, you know, but just with the experiences in the past, it's not sort of the route I'm looking at. But I will, if the time comes and I want to try it, I will. But myself, for my own songs, I like keeping my own songs to me. But I mean, it's very megalomaniac. But with record companies, they've got the financial backing, they've got the promotion and the distribution deals, which we can't get at the moment as independent artists. And it's, you know, if you want to go for that way, fine. But you know, there's also another way that's independent, which is quite sustainable itself, and it's you know, you own your songs still, and you have everything off your back and that. But I mean, there was a point where I was really anti-record company and I used to hate them and destroy the man, kill the man, and whatever. But they can be used in a way, especially these days, because they're looking for new ways. But unfortunately, they're looking to do it as cheaply as possible because they're losing money, because they're now sharing they're sharing the market with the games companies and the movie companies. Because it's not just music people buy now; it's DVDs, massive, you know yourself, Xbox 360 games and you know, stuff like that. And you got all that market to contend with. Whereas this whole piracy lot that's going on, and it's like sort of, it's, oh yeah, we're dying because of piracy, but it's because they've always encouraged it themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's gone, it's gone off the rails a bit, as you can say.
Yeah.
But it's just the way they've just got to adapt to it, really. It's just, I mean, unfortunately, the whole world's gone sort of really big businessy, and there's a lot of systems you got to avoid if you can. But you know, you can use some to your advantage. I mean, a lot of people do get on very well with the record companies and that, but at the self, for my own solo stuff, I'd rather keep it to myself and have, you know, my own say in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I come to a band situation and I want to, or if I do come to a situation where I want to start, you know, going a bit more to that way, you know, I'll just weigh it up if it comes, not even when it comes. It's, you know, that's very, you know, hopeful, but you know, because a lot of people used to say, oh, we're an unsigned band, but now you don't hear that as much. You hear people as, oh, we're an independent band now, because you have to build yourself that way. Now you have to go half independent, and then the record companies will take note of you.
Yeah.
You have to do half the work yourself now, because the internet's so vast, and because there's so many bands available now, you've got to make yourself different a bit. And it's, you know, at the same time you meet loads of friends, but at the same time you're also trying to think, what can I do?
Yeah.
What's different about me?
You've got to try and make yourself stand
But
out.
you can't change your personality. That's the thing, because you can lose your integrity that way, and there's no point in losing your integrity, because then you're just becoming something else. You're not yourself. If you know what I mean. It's a very complex way of saying it, but you know, it's especially, you know, for young bands, it's definitely always look down the independent route first, because you never know, you might not get that deal. But if you still want to work in music, there's tons of jobs out there, you know. But you can, you know, yourself. It's all coming to a head where, I mean, there's like things like Sopra and all that happening, but you know, independent is getting very strong, because you've got to go that way anyway before anything. You know, like I said before anything takes off.
Okay. Now, you mentioned about piracy there. And that's the topic we're going to go on to now.
Yeah.
Music piracy is a huge thing in the music industry right now.
Well, yeah, it's
not just the music industry, but
across the board.
Every industry.
The thing is, they can't stop it.
Exactly. And it is there are many opinions about it and what should be done about it. And some people say you should just stop it completely. Some people say it's fine. Can you tell us your feelings on them?
Well, my stance on it really is sort of, you know, if people want to share my music, they share it. I mean, this is coming from me selling my music. I know I've got to make a living at the end of the day, so I can't rely on, you know, people selling, because, you know, it's not always going to be that way. And times are changing that fast now. I mean, who knows, in live in years to come might not bring in the money as much. So you got to think of ways. I mean, what I want to try and do is, you know, follow in the same vein as sort of Steve Lawson, sort of pay what you think it's worth. Because if you want to pay for it, you can. If you don't want it, don't worry, you just have it. I'm not that, you know, either way, it's good for me, because you're listening, you know. The hardest thing is getting someone to listen. It's I mean, you've always got to make a living, so you've got to do things like teaching, and you know, you can go off into other things like you're teaching, and you can go lead a couple of sharing knowledge of what you know already. I mean, I'm just starting out, so I can't really say what I know, because I haven't properly been out there yet. But I hope to be. But it's just the way it goes. You just got to keep ploughing on with it. But piracy itself, it's gonna come along, and they can't. No matter what they do with Sopper or whatever, it's gonna happen. It's like anything you make it illegal, it just goes underground. But it's, you know, it's gonna happen. You just got to think of a way of dealing with it. Maybe you will have to perform live more, or maybe, you know, if you have that's one thing I like I'm using Twitter and Facebook, is you can keep in touch with people very personally. I mean, that's what I love doing anyway. It's not for everyone. Not everyone's good with people. I mean, I'm not particularly, but it's sort of
just roll the punches.
Yeah, you just go with it, really. I mean, you've got to these days. I mean, I used to be very against it, and I used to think, oh, the world's all gone mad, and it is going a bit mad. And some things are wrong, and you know, you say something's wrong. I mean, a few of my songs are quite political and protesty, so it's you know, say what's wrong, but
it's just the way it is.
You just got to roll with it, because that's just the industry itself. It's very hard. It's very hard, but it's also very fair. And you see how once you get into it, you see how it all works. Yeah. And you just got to work out how you can make it your bit of work. You know, how your cog shaped. Yeah. Really.
Cool.
That's just one.
No, it's great being able to look into your life.
Thanks for having me. Really, thanks for putting up with me more. So.
No. Is there anything that you want to tell the audience before?
Well, you know, just give everything a try. You got you got your independent guys, you got the big guys, you know, like you see Rihanna and you Justin Bieber, and but you've also got guys like, you know, Laura Kidd and Steve Lawson, and you know, there's guys out there commenting on it as well, like Andrew Dubber and that. So it's worth checking people who aren't musicians as well, if you're looking for people, because 9 out of 10 times you'll find that you really get along with someone, and then you just spiral from there. It's just a great thing to do. You make so many friends. You just gotta go. You got to learn your own way about it, but you know, there's guidelines and that. But you know, it just works that way.
Now, lastly, as with every interview,
oh yes,
you know what's going on.
I've heard about this.
Can you just look into the camera and say,
yes.
I'm Jamie Clague, and this is Music Talk.
I'm Jamie Clague, and this is Music Talks.